Oh, hello there. Didn't notice you there. Welcome to another episode of That Nice Spider-Man Show. Well, not exactly an episode. We've obviously been at the end of season 1 for quite a while now. We're doing some summer biz, and you've seen that all the way through the feed. But Jack and I, that's who we are. Well, I'm Henry, that's Jack over there. You can't see where I'm pointing, but he's on the other side of this mic. Say hello.
Hello. This is like the first fucking episode again.
It really is. It's been a little while. So yeah.
Also, I would like to point out this is an episode.
This is an episode of That Nice Spider-Man Show. It is.
Let's not start off by saying this isn't really an episode.
It's not like our typical.
It's not really worth your time. I don't know why you're here.
Yeah, just unsubscribe right now. No, just Yeah, so we were just hanging around, and then we heard the news about Sony and Marvel, is it? And I don't know,
Disney and
yeah.
I mean, if you were to look at Twitter, you would think that Sony broke into Tom Holland's house and shot him in the face.
Yeah,
because that's kind of how people are reacting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then Kevin Feige was holding his corpse as he turned to ash. Like screaming no into the skies, and people want justice. But maybe that didn't happen because, I mean, Kevin Feige, bless his heart, he's not a superhero.
No, that you know of.
Yeah, he's not Superman, and
the Green Lantern.
Yeah, and Sony aren't Roxanne or like AIM or Hydra. Or
Yeah, it's not as simple as good and bad guys, unfortunately, folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some thoughts, we had some opinions, and we thought, why not just talk about it with you guys?
And we're also going to talk a little bit about Phase 4, because, I mean, the point in which we decided not to, podcast for a little while, and we just, had a few little bonus episodes out there, was also the time when a bunch of this shit went down, and then they also had D23, where they announced way more Phase 4 shit than I think anyone was really expecting.
No, yeah, everyone was still kind of on the endgame hangover, and they weren't really thought, oh, there's going to be another phase after this.
Yeah, or that they would announce a couple of things or something, but nope, it's
full steam ahead. So in July actually, we had Spider-Man Far From Home, which was great. We talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
And then Sony and Marvel suddenly just pulled the plug one day, and everyone was pissed off.
Yeah.
I imagine all of you guys at home were just like, why Sony, why you do this?
And there was I think it was Save Spidey hashtag or something like that.
Yeah.
It got quite intense, but I don't know about you, but I had this weird sort of response where the news itself was kind of not necessarily good, but I was curious, and it made me think about a few things.
Yeah.
The response online was completely insane.
It was absolutely madness.
But the weirdest thing about it for me is that a lot of the response that were annoying me a bit were also things that I was I could have seen myself saying this a couple of years back.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Disney stans, a lot of Feige is our god, a lot of Sony are terrible and don't deserve to make movies, all hail Disney, corporations are my friend. A lot of just this weird behavior, and you can see it a little bit even when people are just saying stuff of oh no, Disney were making good Spider-Man movies and now it's going to be going to Sony who make bad Spider-Man movies, which I've definitely moaned a lot about Sony on this show. We've talked shit about The Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Countless times.
In fact, I did 2 episodes on the Waffle Press with Diogo, which you guys should go listen to. I'll link below. We were talking about The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and we had some shit to say about it, So I'm not coming from a place of where I feel I should be happy that Sony decided not to go through with having Spider-Man in the MCU, but I kind of am. Anyway, forgetting all that for a second, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because I'm sure there's some people there who either don't know what's going on, or they don't know exactly what's going on, because I think a lot of the way it's been presented, I think for a lot of people is just Sony said fuck Marvel,
and they just took their shit back.
Yeah,
they took their ball and went home.
And then people are saying oh shit, they're gonna reboot it again and all this stuff. But they're not going to. They're not going to fucking reboot it. Even it's not like they have a great track record. It was a bad idea to reboot so soon after Spider-Man 3. But they're not going to do it again, and they're not going to... The whole thing with this conversation is that it's way more boring than it looks.
Way more boring.
Basically, 2 weeks back, it was announced that Sony, who hold the rights to Spider-Man still, they had a deal with Marvel. They didn't sell him back. They just made a deal to make movies.
And then Marvel had the merchandising, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Disney, I'm pretty sure they make all the money off the merchandise, which is a lot.
And like 5% or something on.
And they get like 5% of the gross, but I think Marvel Studios, in tandem with Sony, like produce and create the movie.
Yeah.
And then the idea is that they get 5% of the gross, they get all the merchandise, they get to put Spider-Man in their crossover movies.
Yeah.
And that
like
will...
in their world and stuff.
Yeah, and that means that they can sell like more. Like more people saw Infinity War and Endgame because Spider-Man was in it.
Yeah.
Civil War and shit.
And most people saw Spider-Man films because Spider-Man was in the MCU.
Yeah, and then that works out for Sony as well because they're making a smaller portion by a small amount, but at the same time they're
getting a lot more exposure on their character.
Yeah, and they're getting interest, and they're getting like the people who are more interested in Iron Man might go see Homecoming and shit like that. So it was kind of a mutually beneficial thing.
And it seemed pretty equal for the most part going into it.
Yeah, but like anything, any deal, people might renegotiate, and what happened is this deal started looking less good to both parties. Yeah. So there's a bit of like discussion over what exactly happened, but I've heard from a lot of people that basically Disney came back saying, yeah, we want the same deal, but we want 50% instead of 5%.
And obviously Sony were like, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're both in very different positions, which I think is worth noting. There's actually like, there's a Hollywood Reporter piece on this.
Yeah.
Where he spoke to some sources within Marvel and Sony, and one person said, you have to remember Marvel wasn't in the same place as it was now. There was still a question of how far the superhero thing could go back when that first deal made. Obviously,
15-ish.
Yeah, obviously, Endgame is like...
It made all the money ever.
Yeah. And you think with Phase 4 as well, which we'll get into a bit later, they have all these projects out. They're like, their slate of their next few years doesn't even have sequels to Captain Marvel and Black Panther and Guardians, which are going to be surefire hits. They don't even have that because they're launching all this other stuff, and people are still excited about it. You got this Disney Plus thing.
Like, Marvel are having some serious momentum, yeah.
One of the things I thought, like, with the way Far From Home ended, is I was like, oh, I want to see a sequel to this, want to see what happens. Where's the actual room for a Spider-Man movie? And I think that's a place where then Spider-Man becomes slightly less valuable to Disney, because we have loads of shit. Maybe if we're going to keep him around, we should be making more money off it. And I think that's where they were coming from. Personally, I think jumping from 5 to 50% is kind of a...
It was terrible negotiation.
Yeah, it does come from a place of like, we own you, and I think they overplayed their hand a bit.
So much.
Whereas Sony are coming from a place where...
They went back and they kind of regrouped. They went and made Into the Spider-Verse,
exactly.
They made Venom. They've actually like...
Venom overperformed way more than anyone thought it did.
Yeah.
Thought it would. And Spider-Verse didn't like... It like did okay. Like, it didn't make loads of money, but it won a fucking Oscar.
Yeah.
So... And people really like that movie. It's like there's a considerable amount of people who that consider it to be the best Spider-Man movie.
Exactly, yeah.
And there's definitely a huge room for sequels to that and spin-offs, and Sony have all the rights to the Spider-Man characters to do that.
Yeah.
Venom can have a sequel. They're going ahead with Morbius. That Sony cinematic universe I'm still skeptical about.
Yeah, very.
But from a business point of view...
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Venom made a lot of money. The sequel will probably make a lot of money. Spider-Verse sequel will probably make a lot more money than the first one did. And Morbius, I mean, is a bad idea, to be honest. But Jared Leto, like, people really like him, and he's popular. For some reason. Yeah, so that's probably gonna at least do okay. Yeah. Superhero movies in general are kind of like the really underperforming ones, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, for example.
Yeah.
still actually made quite a lot of money.
It made like 500 or 600 mil, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But
Yeah.
like, because it's not like close to $1 billion, people are like, oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
But it's still like, you know, made its money back and it's still profitable. You think from Sony's point of view, when someone comes to the table and it's like, yeah, we want to take a bigger piece of this pie, they're gonna like go, maybe we shouldn't go ahead with this. And I can't remember the exact wording, but in one of their statements, Sony basically said they've learned from the experience of being in the MCU and working with Marvel Studios, and they're going to take what they learned and what they learned from making Venom and Spider-Verse, and they're going to do their own thing. I don't know, it just doesn't sound like there's that much ill will, apart from a few catty remarks that have been in both statements of just kind of making it seem like the other person, you know, was a bit more at fault than they were. There's been a few catty things said about Kevin Feige. They seem catty, but I don't think they are. I think it's because Feige has this cult around him.
Yeah.
And have been part of that cult, you know, because he talks good talk. The general direction of the MCU has been good.
He walks good walk.
I'd say the talk is better than the walk, but the walk is still very good.
Yeah, it's still pretty good walk.
And he seems to genuinely love these characters, and he's been in the industry a long time.
And you can see what that appeals to people.
But at the same time, like, it's weird, like, Sony have had to come out and be like, Kevin Feige didn't do all the work.
It wasn't like he was like Stanley 2.0 going like, this has to be here, this has to be here. Like,
it's weird. It's weird, like this reclamation of like the producer-owned movie, because for such a long time, like, there was the whole auteur, like, directors make a movie. You know, it's like a collaborative effort, obviously. But yeah, according to most people, Kevin Feige made all these movies. Like, unless you have a particular big personality like James Gunn, people are like, Kevin Feige made this movie.
Yeah.
It's weird.
When he was like, all the producer does is pretty much like give it money.
Well, I'd say he as a producer, he seems excellent, and I think he does have a lot of creative input into the direction of things, like more than a lot of producers would.
Yeah.
But the idea that Sony as a company have had to like respond publicly to be like, we can make movies. We're like a company with lots of creatives working for us.
It's not just one dude's like genius vision that kind of brought this stuff to light.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
At the same time, recently, like a couple of days ago before this recording, the Sony Pictures chairman said that for the moment the door is closed with Marvel, but there was no ill will, and hinted that there might be a resolution somewhere in the future. On top of that, director John Watts, who did Homecoming and Far From Home.
Yeah, the guy who actually made these movies. FYI.
Yeah, apparently like Sony and Marvel are kind of fighting over him, because like Marvel like to have their successful directors like in the bag
in-house,
and keep them around, and obviously Sony, it'll probably beyond like whether they think he's right for it. I'm sure that's part of it, but also I think they know that fans would have more faith in it if they had the same director, probably.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So they want to keep him. It's unclear whether or not he's going to be involved or not. But I think this should be made clear, because for a long time I thought maybe I had gotten something wrong, because I kept thinking, why is everyone acting like the Tom Holland verse is over?
Yeah.
Because that's how everyone was responding online, like, oh no, we're going to have to do another Spider-Man reboot, or it's going to have to have nothing to do with the previous stories. But as far as I can say, like, every character that's in the Spider-Man movies that is Spider-Man related is something that Sony own. So the only things that we'd be losing, right, is Happy Hogan.
Yeah.
Tony Stark.
Nick Fury.
S.H.I.E.L.D. in general. And then potential cameos. And that's it.
Fine.
And we've had 2 Spider-Man which have had some considerable MCU crossover. We've had 3 movies in which Spider-Man has starred another MCU shit.
Yeah.
That's a decent amount. And the possibility that maybe this stuff can come in the future.
Like, I don't see what we lose.
What you lose is, like, if people... I don't think anyone cares, like, that much about, like, Happy and Aunt May's romantic arc. I think people, like, liked it and stuff, but, like, I think people are
just looking for an excuse to get pissed off.
Yeah, they're overstating how big of a deal that is to lose that, or to lose Like, I remember people were like, oh god, how are they gonna do it? Like, how are they gonna deal with the fact that like Tony Stark is no longer can be mentioned
easily?
You just don't mention him.
Yeah, it's easy. You say all the Tony Starks in the script, and you just scribble them out.
You know what? I think if Far From Home, if the deal was broken before Far From Home, there would have been a few weird things like, oh, Spider-Man's just like lost a mentor figure, and we're not mentioning it. That might have been a bit weird, but we've just had a movie which is about him like dealing with that and
like Tony Stark.
Yeah, and that was kind of the arc of that movie, for better or worse. That was what that was about.
Yeah.
So they're actually in a good position to continue without. Even Happy and Aunt May, like part of the gag was that like Happy was more invested in it than Aunt May, as far as I could tell. Like there was kind of a
weird like crossed lines.
Of like him thinking that they were more of a thing than she thought they were. And that was funny, and also gives them room for their just not to continue.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just don't spend any time in Aunt May's love life.
Yeah.
And it's more about her relationship to Peter. That's fine. Nick Fury, or at least Talos as Nick Fury.
There wasn't any lasting effects on the story.
Spider-Man is meant to be this sort of neighborhood guy anyway, and these movies have to try and find an excuse to not include other Marvel characters anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would have been cool, I guess, if there was like a 30-second cameo from Doctor Strange because they both live in the same city, or that Peter Parker is at a science fair and runs into Shuri on some outreach program from Wakanda. That kind of shit would be cool, but it wouldn't really have...
It wouldn't be story-breaking.
It's nothing to do with the story, really. It would just be cool little things.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man has, like... I mean, we make a podcast about Spider-Man. There's a lot of Spider-Man characters, a lot of fucking storylines.
Yeah.
It's not just villains. There's lots of supporting characters that there's too many for them to include. There's...
We still haven't seen Black Cat on the screen, for example.
Yeah. And the strongest thing, I think, about, say, Homecoming and Far From Home, I think there was some good creative decisions made in them. But I think the strongest thing about them is their cast. I don't think it's even John Watts as a director. I think in general he's capable, but...
And a lot of his stuff is more homage than anything.
Yeah, and even some of the action, like some of it was really good, and then some of it was kind of a bit bland.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, that last fight with the Vulture...
was a bit, yeah.
It's extremely unmemorable and not making use of the fact that you've got a swinging character and a flighting
character.
Yeah, a flighting character in a city of skyscrapers, and they're fighting above clouds on an invisible airplane and then on a beach. That's not like me shitting on John Watts. I think he's good at
fine.
Yeah, and he's clearly works well with actors and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't break the third Spider-Man movie if they find someone else talented to take it on.
It wouldn't be like the Raimi-verse where we had like Spider-Man 1 and 2 with Sam Raimi and we brought like Michael Bay in for the third one.
I think...
That'd be great, by the way. Michael Bay Spider-Man 3.
You just want to watch the world burn. This is the guy who the other day suggested to me that Zack Snyder should make a Planet of the Apes movie, and I mean, that would be great. This was over a message, but I wanted to slap you so much. Fucking like, keep that guy away from my favorite franchise. But,
I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you have Michael Bay as Zack Snyder directs a Planet of the Apes movie?
Why? Beyond like being a terrible idea, it's also just not relevant. I don't even know what that would look like.
That's what I'm kind of like curious about. It'd be like he'd fucking go for it. There'd be so much like pseudo metaphor.
This is easier to say about something that you don't have an investment in.
Yeah. Like,
if you were to watch all those movies and then like them like I do,
okay,
then it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, from the perspective of someone who just like loves watching just like auto train wrecks, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I want to see that fucking movie because I don't think it's gonna be good.
Well, I'd rather give Zack Snyder something else. I think he has. I can't remember what his next project is, but whatever it was, I was like, yeah, Zack Snyder should make that. What was it? I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna be too curious.
Was it Godzilla?
Fuck off. Stop fucking ruining things.
FYI, Jack's a really good big fan of Godzilla as well. That's why.
He's making a zombie movie called Army of the Dead that's set in Las Vegas. Sure, make a zombie movie.
Yeah.
go like super like nihilistic and gritty and cynical and shit with it, that's fine. Make your horror movie. I think he should be making horror movies. I think he's better at that.
Like a Jason movie or something.
Well, fine, because that is a series I love that you can do whatever you want with. I don't care who makes. I'd prefer a good Jason movie, but like I feel like you can also, it can be a garbage fire and it will be fine. He's also making the Fountainhead, because of course he is. But I mean, that's off track. What I mean to say with Spider-Man is that the next one doesn't need John Watts. It'll probably be a little bit better, but if he was on board,
for continuity's sake.
And Sony don't necessarily have the same track record of pairing up good directors, or I don't want to say good directors, but like the right director for a project. Whereas like Marvel
have generally been quite good with that.
But also Marvel, the strongest suit, I think, above everything is casting.
I was going to say the same thing.
And I don't know how involved they were in the casting process of Spider-Man Homecoming, but if they were involved, then that's the best thing that Sony got out of that deal, is having a great cast given to them.
Yeah.
Or maybe they found it themselves, I don't know. But you've still got those characters, and you've even got like setup of other stuff. Like, you've got that Dimitri character who could potentially be Chameleon.
Yeah.
You have Michael Keaton's Vulture still
hanging
in
around.
play.
Scorpion's there.
Scorpion is there. You got your Matt Gargan. You've got
Mysterio might still be alive.
Yeah, and you've also got the Shocker guy.
Yeah.
What the fuck's his name?
It's like Dave Chappelle, but I know it's not Dave Chappelle.
He does look a little bit like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
He's called like Bokeem Woodbine.
I know that name.
It's a really memorable name. He's in Fargo. He's great, and I would like to see more of him. So he's there. You've got like a few of these villains who can come back. There's plenty more Spider-Man villains to do.
Yeah, I've never even seen like Dr. Octopus or the Goblin yet.
And there's plenty of other like classic villains that have never been on screen. As far as I can tell, it's kind of going to be fine. Like, I think I'm going to give you like the weirdest analogy right now.
Sure.
I think people reacted to this news like they woke up, like that scene in The Godfather. They woke up in bed and they lifted up their duvet, and Tom Holland's decapitated head was in their bed.
Yeah.
When in reality, they woke up and they lifted up the covers and it was Tom Holland's like appendix.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's
probably better than he was.
Yeah. The MCU connection is nice, but not necessary.
It's not vital to the character.
Yeah, and beyond stuff like, it would be cool to have Spider-Man meet Wolverine. Yeah, that's all well and good. But also, to be honest, they could do that in the future. They could do a few movies and then be like, we don't really have a hook anymore.
Let's bring it back into MCU.
Yeah, and make a deal for one movie.
Yeah.
And then if they just don't mention each other,
then
it's fine. Like, I'm really not of that mind. I remember even when Winter Soldier came out, a lot of fans were like, why doesn't he just call Iron Man and the Avengers the whole time? And I'm beyond the fact of like, because then there's no movie.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Who gives a fuck? Who gives a flying fuck? Yeah.
I'd like these characters to have their own stories as well.
Yeah.
I don't want everything to be a crossover movie, because then you don't get any time to actually
have characters.
Yeah. I think this is just a particular point of view, and I can't understand why people wouldn't agree on this respect. But I think actually, if they were to have a good creative team, I think not being connected with Marvel Studios would actually make Far From Home sequel better. Because
I kind of agree.
Because it means that they can't do any more Iron Man, Stark Industries callback. I think fundamentally having Spider-Man have like a multi-billion-dollar corporation and nanotechnology at his disposal is a bit of a weird thing for one of the most classic working class heroes.
It's a bit antithetical. To the character a little bit.
Yeah, having that next movie where potentially he's like on the run a bit or trying to clear his name, and he has no one to really turn to, like for like in text reasons and metatextual reasons, he can't turn to another hero.
Yeah,
or he turns to another hero.
He legally can't turn another hero.
Yeah,
Disney's lawyers are like, nope.
Yeah, or he could turn to another hero, but that's like a Spider-Man supporting character.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I think like we kind of mentioned this in the Far From Home episode we did, But probably the biggest weakness of these like MCU Spider-Man movies is that they're like there's not enough time, or like it feels like Spider-Man is almost kind of pushed to the side a bit to serve the whole universe.
Yeah, like they have to. The thing is, I will say that like one of the biggest strengths of these movies is that Homecoming started off with like we have to explain Civil War to people who didn't see it, and also for people who did see it, show how it affected him.
Yeah.
And Far From Home had to do the same, but with Endgame. Those are actually quite difficult things to deal with, and they dealt with them in a very funny way.
Yeah, they did it really, really well.
And they did it at the start of both movies in slightly different ways, but they were both very inventive and interesting.
Yeah.
But that's still like a weight to bear.
Yeah.
You know?
It's unnecessary.
It would have been easier if they could have done a movie about... If they did a movie that was about Spider-Man and Mysterio that didn't have to also deal with the fallout of half the universe blinking out of existence and then coming back 5 years later.
It's a lot of stakes.
That's just enough to give you a headache if you, as a screenwriter, just like fuck's sake.
How am I gonna write these seven and a half billion people?
Thinking about like ending Homecoming with Aunt May finding out that he's Spider-Man and be like, this is our start point.
Excellent.
Within a few years, half the universe dies, comes back 5 years later. He has this whole relationship with Iron Man, and now he's died, and he's gone to space, and he's died, and he's come back, and you're like, I have to deal with all this shit as well. Like, there's a lot to do, and it's kind of nice to know that like the next movie will follow on from the ending of Far From Home. Like, it's not going to be like he comes back like, oh, now I can finally deal with my identity being revealed to the world after that Skrull invasion. Which just happened, by the way.
Oh shit. Yeah, it's like if you like wrote season 2 of Breaking Bad and you're like, okay, yeah, I know I'm doing season 3. And you come back and it's like, oh, you did the season without me?
Exactly, and that's one of the constraints of the cinematic universe is when so many movies are coming out. Yeah. So I think taking Spider-Man off the table is actually quite good.
It might make for a better Spider movie in the right hands.
I mean, I'm slightly nervous just because of the Amazing Spider-Man showing that like a lot of the team that were working on it on Sony didn't really seem to
care about the character.
Well, it's not only that, they just like they had a lot of ideas that they were throwing in that just didn't meld. Mm-hmm. But I think like enough of the structure is there that it's more like, well, we have our setup for our next movie, we have a cast in place, and we have characters that we want to use or don't want to use, and people are invested in this. There's not like this desperation to like try and make Peter Parker cool or to introduce loads of elements at once.
They 100% have learned from that experience.
Yeah, and they can just look to that. Whereas like, I don't know, it was kind of harder with the Amazing Spider-Man because they were like,
Spider-Man 3 was one of those movies where I was like, it wasn't as good as Spider-Man 2, but it still was the highest. I think it still is the highest grossing Spider-Man film of all time.
Shit.
Or at least I know it's at least the highest opening of all time, but it might still be the highest.
And I know that the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 were like one of the lower. Like they were making less each time at that point.
Yeah.
And like they had to recalibrate because they were like, well, 1 and 2 worked, but then 3 was using the same elements, but it didn't work. So let's try and do everything the opposite.
Let's try and go back to basics.
Yeah, but then also trying so hard to not be the Raimi Spider-Man that they ended up making like throwing a lot of important shit in the trash. And this time they've got 2 movies of like, people like this stuff.
Why don't we just like not reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a point where they were like, yeah, like we should do everything apart from like different from Sam Raimi. But they went too far with it. Where they were like, yeah, Sam Raimi made good films, so we should not do that because that's what Sam Raimi would do. And then they just made bullshit for a while. The only thing that would concern me a little bit is how they kind of handled Venom. Not even from a commercial standpoint, but from like a creative standpoint. Like, it was a bizarre choice the way they did it. But I suppose like it's one of those characters you need Spider-Man in it.
I think the basic idea of how they handled Venom, that's the best way to handle a solo Venom movie that doesn't have Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, too fair. Yeah,
like if you want a protagonist, then you kind of gotta do it that way. And they also kind of changed a little bit of how the Venom symbiote works, because the Venom symbiote doesn't tend to be another personality that is talking to him. It's usually a lot more simple, and it's accentuating. It's
like a metaphor for alcoholism. Effectively,
I have never considered that before, so I'll have to think on that one. But
Yeah, can come back to me on that. But I think, Man of War.
but
And it's sensory, good qualities and bad qualities.
I think the reason that I didn't like Venom is because I thought that they just executed it really badly.
It did that thing that a lot of movies do nowadays, where they were like, we can't make this good, so we're just gonna make it crazy.
I don't know. It's
An
the response to
intentional
Venom confused me because I think
Yeah.
a lot of people genuinely think it's great. A lot of people listen to this probably think it's great. And I wish I lived in your brain. I'd like to say to you guys.
I disagree. I don't want to live in that brain. I don't want to know how or why you thought that movie was good. I mean, good for you, but
I guess my other worry would be that the next Spider-Man movie is just like Venom.
they can't bring Venom in it. Like,
I'd
whatever Aviarad is doing, you need to go find him and lock him in a shed while
Yeah.
you make this movie. Don't let him make this.
I think if if
Hey guys, we got a Spider-Man movie out there.
I'd be fine with that, preferably after the Far From Home sequel. If Spider-Man were to cameo or have a co-starring role in a Venom movie, I'd be like more up for that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see like Venom dominate a Spider-Man movie.
Fuck no.
Or if that was to happen, I want it in a little while because there's other Spider-Man villains I want to see, and if Venom's
There's
getting his
whole
own
like
movies,
storylines, that we want to explore.
so I hope that they have like a bit more patience with it, and they're like maybe they can meet one day or something rather than like let's try and use all this at once.
I think that the operative thing here is that like you kind of wonder how much Sony has learned, and think all of this hinges on like, can they resist the urge to just make money and actually think, how can we make this good?
At the same time, I'm like, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. It's weird as fans because I think the most toxic of fans do this, and I think the best of fans do this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not very satisfied with anything.
No,
We always want more.
always.
There's never, you think about Endgame, like regardless of like how much you liked Endgame, it brought this huge story to an end. It was a conclusion. A lot of crazy shit happened in it. And then the first question as soon as it finishes is...
What's happening next?
What's the next thing? What's phase 4? What is the next big bad? What does this mean for the Spider-Man movie? All this shit. Like, we're not satisfied. Also, I was thinking the other day, like, how I was like, oh, I'd really like this character to be in a Spider-Man movie, but how do you get it to work? And all this shit. And I was like, wait a minute. This character has so many comics, and so many of them are good.
Yeah.
An entire medium, so fucking many good Spider-Man stories out there to read, and I read a lot of them, and I'm still only scratching the surface. And right now, I pretty much read everything that he's been in from 63 to 89. That's a big portion of his history.
Yeah.
But there's still like so much more that I've got to read, and that's the comics. And then we got 2 excellent Spider-Man movies. Then we got another one, and then we got 2 other ones.
Yeah.
And then we got 2 movies another 2 on top of that we generally thought were great.
Yeah.
We got 3 crossover movies with him, and we're gonna get more in the future, which
Yeah.
may be good, may be bad. We're spoiled for Spider-Man shit. There's also the thing that we actually made this podcast about, if you've forgotten, Spider-Man the Animated Series. It's 5 seasons of that.
5 seasons. There's the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular Spider-Man ended too soon because it was great, but still you got 2 seasons of that.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of other Spider-Man cartoons that are varying degrees of quality, but they exist.
They are there if you want to go see them.
Oh, and then of course there's Spider-Verse as well. Forgot even to mention that.
There's a Spider-Man game.
There's loads of Spider-Man games.
And there's just like these things, like these comic books, I think you call them.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit, and I think at a certain point when you get like 1 million Spider-Man movies and you're upset that, I don't know, I don't want to like shit on people for this because I'm doing it all the time. But I was like reading like who was it? It was like, it was a Hobgoblin comic, and I was like, this is really good. I'd love to see him in a movie. How would that work? They kind of have to do Green Goblin first. Not going to do that straight away. God, this is going to be like a Spider-Man 8 where Hobgoblin comes in. God, I'm probably never going to see a live-action Hobgoblin. Then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, but I got loads of great Hobgoblin comics.
Yeah.
Like,
do you need that?
Yeah, like, do you need everything you like to be represented in different mediums?
No.
Like, I don't. Yeah, it's like I just been reading a book of Murakami short stories.
Yeah.
One of them, Barn Burning, got turned into a movie called Burning.
Yeah.
That came out this year, and it's one of my favorite movies this year. Probably my favorite movie this year. That's great. It's like me watching that and being like, man, love this short story, love this movie. why can't they just make a TV show of this movie, of this short story? You know, I need another thing. For instance, if we were never to make another Stephen King adaptation again, it's probably fine. There's been quite a fucking lot of them.
And quite a lot of them are bad.
Yeah, it's just,
Like,
I don't know.
an overwhelming amount. Like, he's written, 66 books. And there's, you can count on, one hand the amount of good ones.
Anyway, this kind of leads into...
before we, close the door on Spider-Man, who'd be your ideal Spider-Man director?
I don't have one, to be honest. I don't know. It would... the Marvel way of doing things has usually been getting indie directors who are good with a certain vibe that they want, and then kind of... It seems like the action stuff is kind of like, well, try your hand at it, but if you're not great at it, we have second unit directors to do this for you. That method kind of works for the most part. So, and I guess with John Watts, he'd done a movie called Cop Car, which was involved a lot of young kids, and he was clearly very good with younger actors and with teenagers and that kind of dynamic. So maybe you'd want someone who'd handle that kind of shit well. I don't really have a suggestion, but not Michael Bay.
Zack Snyder?
No, not Zack Snyder, not Uwe Ball. Not... I don't know. Not Todd Phillips. Why would you give him a comic book movie?
Oh god, why? No one would be stupid enough to do that.
I don't know. There's a million directors out there that would probably... And a lot of people love Spider-Man. There's probably a huge Spider-Man movie... huge Spider-Man fan out there who is a great director.
J.J. Abrams, maybe.
Okay, not. Oh, that's actually a possibility as well.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Don't joke about that. That's actually a possibility. And J.J. Abrams, I think, is a good director, but I just don't. He doesn't need to get all the gigs. He doesn't need to be the director of
everything, of
every pop culture thing.
Yeah,
you know.
Uncle Ben dies. You have lens flare off the knife that stabs him and stuff like that.
I mean, he doesn't God, he's got 2 Star Trek and 2 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
That's not, he doesn't need to have a Spider-Man movie. He doesn't get to just stick his hands in everything, because that's boring. I don't want every movie to look the same, even if that movie looked really good. I don't want it.
A J.J. Abrams Men in Black, or J.J. Abrams.
Well, but it's the same thing. I don't want to.
Joss Whedon would be a good Spider-Man.
I was literally about to say I don't want a Joss Whedon Spider-Man.
I would really like that.
But I don't think. I like Joss Whedon, but I don't think he's the best director, and
I don't know.
He's good with dialogue and he's good with group dynamics, so it makes sense. But also, I don't want every superhero movie dialogue to sound like Joss Whedon dialogue. You know, I want a bit of variety, and when there's a million people out there, it doesn't always have to be the same 5 guys that we trot out. You know?
No, that's true.
When people are should Christopher Nolan direct Moon Knight?
No.
Just get someone else.
Get Baz Luhrmann to do it.
Fuck's sake. Why are you just trying to fuck with me? You keep picking directors I have pet peeves with as well. Anyway, I think maybe we should
put a pin in the Baz Luhrmann director's Spider-Man movie.
Well, we got a question from a fan.
We got a fan and a question from a fan.
Yeah.
Excellent. What we got?
This is from Ron.
Hi, Ron.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing it right? You can't answer, but yeah, we tried.
Anyway, here's a question that's actually relevant to all this stuff.
Okay.
It is what is one change you would like to see in a future Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, but does not necessarily pertain the MCU?
Good question. You want to go first?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I one change. I've got 2 answers. One is kind of a bit of a bullshit answer, because I would have said it if we were still in the MCU. So I'll go with the other one first, which is I'd like more Aunt May. Yeah. And I would like Aunt May to be more central. And I don't mean that she has to
put on a costume and fight crime.
No.
That'd be great, but we don't have to do that.
And that happens in the comic at one point.
Of course it does.
Yeah, so what if comic, I think. What if she became Spider-Woman or something? I can't remember.
There's 80-year-old woman fighting crime.
Yeah, exactly. I think you introduce Marissa Tomei, she's a very different kind of Aunt May. And I think that they didn't make enough use of it. I think there's a bit of it in the first one. And I think Far From Home, obviously she's not in the story. because she's literally not there.
Yeah.
And then also the way she is involved is through Happy, who gets more screen time and relationship with Peter than Aunt May, which is all well and good, but I would just like more of it, because it's like, well, why have this like incredibly talented actress with this new version of a character we haven't seen before if we don't get a bit more of her? Because I can understand maybe if people were like a bit tired of Aunt May after like she wasn't like very well weaved into the plot in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but she was present and around as the worrying mother figure. And then in the original trilogy, that Aunt May is quite present as the worrying old mother figure. So I understand if people were a bit bored of that, but this Aunt May seems a bit different, so why not explore that and figure out how she's different? We haven't really dealt with the fact that she knows he's Spider-Man, and we don't really know what she thinks of it still.
Yeah.
I just want to see more of them. The idea of those two live together and they have a relationship, and I think one of the low-key best scenes in Homecoming is when they just go out for dinner.
That's a great scene.
Yeah, it's great. It's just really nice, and those actors are great, and they have great chemistry. I just want to see more of it. These guys live with each other. I want to see their interactions, and
it's like a dynamic with like Aunt May and Spider-Man that hasn't really been like done before.
Yeah, and I don't know. I knew that I wanted more of her, but until I read this question, I didn't really realize how much I wanted that. And I think there's a great chance for there to be more of that when you haven't got all these other characters like cluttering up the space a bit.
Yeah.
So, what's your answer?
I feel like yours probably is going to be the other answer you had, but like my biggest bugbear with this whole like MCU Spider-Man is that he feels like a side character in his own movie.
Right.
Like, do you know how in Black Panther there was so much going on that T'Challa kind of like took a bit of a backseat to it all?
I don't understand why you think that, but I disagree.
Yeah. I don't mean it in like the explicit sense. I think that his character is in a way like it's different to a lot of the MCU kind of protagonists.
Right.
But I feel like
he was listening to perspectives,
yeah,
and changing and choosing the direction for Wakanda, so he wasn't the guy coming in with a new idea.
No.
He wasn't changing the plot, he was like reacting.
Yeah, like that's a terrible example, but the problem that I have with Peter Parker in these movies is that he doesn't appear to have much agency.
Right.
In the sense that like everything is done not because Peter Parker wants to do it or because he's growing as a character, but because the plot requires him to do that thing. And it's like the first movie is about him trying to join the Avengers. Second movie is about him trying to like become, I don't know, separate himself from his mentor. And as far as like character arcs go, they're not particularly strong. I don't know. I feel like if we're talking like protagonists in a comic books world, like Peter Parker is like top 5 at least, you know. And there's so many different things you could do with that character and the way he kind of became Spider-Man that they haven't done at all, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be riddled with guilt all the time because like it's not as fun. And I appreciate these movies are a lot more fun than maybe the Raimi movies were at times. But I still think they could probably borrow a bit more from like having more of a Spider-Man who is the center of his own universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going to that, it would, to expand on my Aunt May thing as well. I think I want that from everyone, and I want that from the setting as well. I want the fact that he is working within New York and he's a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's at high school and he goes to school every day, and the fact that he has a group of friends and Flash is a bully. And I want those. I just want more interactions with that stuff because
it doesn't feel like his world.
Yeah, I don't, and I think they were better in Homecoming. But I don't like that stuff's kind of introduced and then moved away from.
It gets pushed aside a lot.
Even especially Flash. I know Flash isn't the most important character, but I would like to see more Flash, especially when Tony Revolori is that great.
He's excellent. Yeah,
they've got so many good things in play that I don't think they're quite making use of.
Because they didn't have the space before to make Peter Parker an actual like character. He's a character, sure, but he's not a strong protagonist.
This is why, personally, I think it might be interesting if the next movie maybe has more than one antagonist that with fairly simple motivations, and then you can make it more about Spider-Man in relation to New York and Peter Parker in relation to what he thinks of Spider-Man and what his relationship to the people around him and the city, and then the antagonists are there to
like put that onto test, like a bit like
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2. Like
Yeah.
the thing with Spider-Man 2 that makes it work is that like he's this superhero and it makes his life shitty, but here's why he continues to do it.
yeah.
It's a much more interesting question than can this kid join the Avengers? What would it take to be an Avenger? Because there's no relatability to that central question, especially in Homecoming. There's no way of saying what that means, so like you don't feel the same emotional journey when he goes through it and gets what he wants, because it could be fucking anything, you know?
Yeah, I'd want to see more of that like internal stuff, like externalized, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like Peter Parker is a very like introspective internal character, but he doesn't come across that at all.
I think there's so many fascinating things, and obviously they can only focus on some of it. But just like, for instance, picking a random one, the fact that like being Spider-Man fucks up Peter Parker's life, but it's also a release from the shit things in its life.
Yeah.
So it's this weird dynamic where, oh, for fuck's sake, I've missed a date.
Yeah.
Because I was stopping a robbery.
But I was only stopping that robbery because I had a bad grade in school.
That's one out of like 100 aspects that like these stories go into. Just pick one and run with it, you know.
Yeah.
Or come up with a new thing to say about the character. There's a lot of shit to do with it that I don't think they have the time to do because
there's so many MCU.
And yeah, there's so many MCU, and they're also like focusing on villains. But I mean, that's kind of off track because we started talking about the MCU again. But you want Peter to be more central to the story, have more agency.
Yeah.
And I want to look at Marissa Tomei more.
I mean, who doesn't? Thanks for the question, Ron. If anyone else has a question, please send it in. We love questions. We love answering them. Hey, guys. So Jack and I intended for us to talk about the MCU and Phase 4 as a whole, but we ended up running on too long. Somehow. Who would have thunk? Anyway, this is the end of part 1, but please tune into part 2, where we talk about the MCU now that Avengers Endgame is now in the past. And we go into Phase 4 as D23 stuff. Thanks, guys. See you next time.